I wanted to do that. I wanted to inspire people of all walks of life.
Hip-hop's most iconic figure, Diddy is an enigmatic superstar. However, little is known about the dark chapters of his personal life. Diddy's journey has been as tumultuous as it's triumphant, and even though he's made a name for himself, behind the dazzling facade is a darker tale of brushing up against criminal allegations. Early life. Sean John Combs, Diddy's real name, in case you're confused, was born on November 4th, 1969, in the Harlem neighborhood of New York. As a child, he was raised in Mount Vernon, and his mother, Janice Combs, was quite the influence as she did some modeling while being a teacher's assistant. As for his father, Melvin Earl Combs, he was a military man and served in the U.S. Air Force, but at the same time, he was also close to a very famous dealer, Frank Lucca. Due to these affiliations, Diddy's father, Melvin, was shot dead at the awfully young age of 33. Sean was only 2 when his father died while sitting in his car on Central Park. Much to the public's surprise, Sean was one of the highly educated members of the black community. This stems from the fact that he graduated from Mount St. Michael Academy in 1987. As impressive as his academic resume is, Diddy was also a decent football player for the academy, helping them win a division title in 1986. As a child, he was given the nickname Puff because he often huffed and puffed whenever he got angry, something he probably picked up on the football field. It's still not clear where he got that nickname from, and when Vogue asked about it, he didn't reveal much.
I can't tell you that.
But Mount St. Academy wasn't the only place where he made his name, as Sean was also enrolled in Howard University doing a business major. Eventually, he realized his talents were elsewhere and left after his sophomore year, before returning in 2014 to receive an honorary doctorate in humanities. Diddy was also called to deliver the university's 146th commencement address. Career, 1990 to 1996. Combs started his career in 1990 as an intern at New York's Uptown Records. While working under Andre Harrell, the label founder, he developed Mary J. Blige and Jodeci. Even though he officially started his career in college in 1990, Diddy built up a rep for throwing crazy parties like most famous rappers do. That's important too, if you want to make it big in this business. As his career progressed in 1991, he promoted an AIDS fundraiser with some big names like Heavy D at the City College of New York Gymnasium. Most people don't remember this event in good stead because the event was very poorly organized. It was oversold, which resulted in a stampede, and tragically, 9 people lost their lives. After such a poor start to his career, Diddy ended up going all out for the people of New York and gave back to the community every chance he got. He's mentioned on many occasions how much he loves and cares about the people of New York and said,
I miss the people.
But before he got into a position to give back, Diddy had to deal with another setback as he was fired from Uptown Records in 1993. Surprisingly, this motivated him to develop his own label by the name of Bad Boy Records, which also entered a joint venture with another record label, Arista Records. This allowed him to bring the notorious B.I.G. into his newly established label, and the 2 young rappers ended up receiving worldwide recognition when they released their first major project known as Ready to Die in '94. They became great friends to the point where they started wearing the same kind of jewelry, Diddy said.
I have this medallion of Jesus that he went and he had got the same medallion of Jesus.
Implying that they used to do a lot of things together. Later on, Combs signed more people to his record label, including Carl Thomas, Faith Evans, 12, and even Father MC. His label was growing at a breakneck speed, allowing him the opportunity to work with Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, TLC, Mariah Carey, and Aretha Franklin. But when you're making it big, you gotta deal with the rivalries too. Diddy had this very issue as his success kick-started the rivalry between the East Coast and the West Coast. They were primarily criticized by artists Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, who were members of the Death Row Records. Nonetheless, this didn't stop Diddy from chasing success during the mid-90s, as he produced several songs that finished the decade very strongly on Billboard's list of top albums, 1997 to 2000. In 1997, Combs recorded his first ever work as a rapper. He released the song Can't Nobody Hold Me Down, which was a massive hit because it spent 28 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Later on, he also released another album, No Way Out, on July 22nd, 1997, through his record label. And this also received a lot of recognition because it reached #1 on Billboard's 200 and sold over 500,000 copies in the first week of release alone. In fact, this album was also his favorite one because he won a Grammy for it. He said,
My favorite Grammy would have to be Hip Hop Album of the Year for No Way Out.
Combs' album produced 5 extremely successful singles. Among these singles, I'll Be Missing You was a tribute to his good friend, the notorious B.I.G., who mysteriously passed away in a shooting that left many people shocked to their core and asking questions to this day. I'll Be Missing You was such a hit, though, that it remained at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 list for 11 weeks. The other 4 singles didn't do badly either, with Nobody Hold Me Down, It's All About the Benjamins, Been Around the World, and Victory becoming massive hits. Due to the album's immense recognition and success, Combs received 5 nominations at the Grammy Awards in 1998. Eventually, his album was certified septuple platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America because it had sold more than 7 million copies. In addition to his massive success over the release of his single, I'll Be Missing You, Sean explained that this song was special to him because when asked about his most memorable moment, he said,
When I performed at the MTV Awards with Sting doing I'll Be Missing You. Life-changing.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, Diddy was charged with assault, but there are still a lot of questions over this incident. He was charged with assaulting Steve Stout, who was a part of Interscope Records and had made a video with Nas and Diddy himself. But during the shoot of the video for the song, Hate Me Now, Combs was concerned that they featured a somewhat controversial shot of Nas and himself being crucified, and so he asked if that scene could be removed from the video. Nas didn't see any problem with it and went ahead with it anyway, airing the footage in its unedited form on MTV. This became the major reason for the feud, with an angry Combs allegedly visiting Interscope Records' office and injuring Stout for his actions. Despite the altercation, Combs ended up producing banger after banger with his second solo album called Forever, making it to the #2 spot on the Billboard 200. It was released by his record label Bad Boy Records in 1999 and would move to #1 on the top R&B chart. 2001 to 2006. In 2001, Combs changed his stage name from Puff Daddy to P Diddy again, which wasn't a surprise. Moreover, his gospel album Thank You, which was supposed to be released in March 2001, was for some reason stopped, and it has yet to be released as of 2023. There's some controversy regarding this because believed that this is related to the weapons trial that Combs was facing that year. Apart from name changes, Diddy also made his Hollywood debut, playing a dealer in a film named Made, where he starred alongside famous actors such as Halle Berry and Heath Ledger. This was Diddy in the big time, as he also began working on a series, and also became Kelly's manager and performed the opening act for NSYNC on their Spring 2002 Celebrity Tour. In 2002, he even signed the California-based pop girl group Dream to his record label, even though Bad Boy's distribution deal with Arista Records was incredibly beneficial for Sean. In June 2001, he ended the contract, which resulted in Diddy gaining complete control over the record label, meaning he'd have total autonomy over its roster of artists. But before he did all that, P released the last studio album of his joint venture with Arista Records, The Saga Continues, which did extremely well, going viral, and eventually receiving certified platinum status. This album was unique because it didn't feature any guest appearances at all. Sean's always had a mercurial personality, and this can be seen in his actions, where he continuously changes his stage names, causing mass confusion among his fan base. Something similar happened in 2005, when he announced that he was changing his stage name again and started calling himself Diddy. Confusion about his name aside, Diddy was printing a lot of money in Hollywood, starring in Carlito's Way Rise to Power, and playing a lot of other roles in Hollywood films. This included his role as Walter Lee Younger in the 2004's A Raisin in the Sun, and also on the television adaptation that aired in 2008. In 2005, Combs made a significant decision regarding his record label by selling half of it to the Warner Music Group. Then, he hosted the MTV Music Awards in 2005, and in the same year, Time magazine labeled him as one of the most influential people of the year. That was hardly a surprise because when you look at all his achievements and his confidence in himself, as Diddy describes himself as,
I'm vivacious, eccentric, and I'm a Scorpio.
Even though his music career was going quite nicely in 2006, things took a turn for the worse as he got into another altercation, this time with 50 Cent. Basically, Sean refused to release a rapper called Maze from his obligations with his Bad Boys record label because he wanted to join another group called G Unit. As a result of this decision, 50 Cent got mad and recorded a diss song called Hip Hop targeting Diddy. He implied that Diddy knew the identity of the notorious B.I.G.'s murderer, which was a huge accusation, but the two resolved their differences later on. Despite putting out the fire, 50 Cent's accusation sparked a lot of controversy about the true nature of Combs in the music industry, which we'll get to in the later part of this video. After 4 years, Combs released another album called Press Play on October 17, 2006. This song was also a massive hit as it featured guest appearances from many famous artists and sold over 173,000 copies. 2 of its singles reached the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100, and the album Press Play received mixed reviews from critics. Nonetheless, it was certified gold on the RIAA ratings, and Diddy went on to team up with 50 Cent and Jay-Z for the Forbes I Get Money $1 Billion remix. Jay-Z and Diddy have been close friends, with Jay-Z getting a lot of love from Combs for his music, saying, 2007 present. Later on, in 2010, Sean created a group named Dream Team, which consisted of some of the biggest names in the industry, such as Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, Fat Joe, Busta Rhymes, and Fabulous. He also appeared at Chris Gethard's live show in January 2010 at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in New York City, and played a short role in a comedy film called Get Him to the Greek. Diddy also formed a female duo called Diddy Dirty Money, with the duo releasing an album called Last Train to Paris in late 2010. This album had 4 singles: Angels, Hello Good Morning, Loving You No More, and Coming Home. These songs were highly successful and made it high up on the Billboard Hot 100 list. Among these, Coming Home was the most successful song, peaking at number 11 on the US Hot 100. With his career progressing big time, in 2014, Diddy premiered Big Homie, featuring Rick Ross and French Montana in a music video from his mixtape called Money Making Mitch. Unexpectedly, Sean changed his name again from Diddy to Puff Daddy for this album. And after the success of his previous album, Combs went on to work with more significant musicians. He released another song on June 29, 2015, called Finna Get Loose, featuring Pharrell Williams. The same year, an artist, Gizzle, announced that she'd collaborate with Diddy on his last album. Interestingly, the title of this album was No Way Out 2, a sequel to his 1997 debut, and in late 2017, Combs changed his stage name one more time, even though he clarified that he should be addressed as Brother Love from then on. Only 2 days later, he converted his name back to Diddy. He later on tried clearing up this confusion by saying,
I never went back to Diddy. And I made an edit from Brother Love, since I'm already black, to just Love.
Even so, over the years, his habit of changing names has caused a lot of problems for his fans, and he has addressed this issue, but hasn't stopped this habit. He said,
We just think we have the right to do that, which we don't.
In November 2022, he released a song alongside his son, which wasn't just a Nepo baby job, as the song ended up being a banger. Combs and his son became the first father-son duo to have simultaneous #1 hits. Then, he rewrote the history books with his new song, Gotta Move On, and reached the top of the Billboard Adult R&B Airplay chart one more time, while his son followed in his footsteps, releasing a song called Can't Stop, Won't Stop, featuring Kodak Black under the stage name of King Combs. Personal life. Sean is a devoted father with 7 children. His first son was born in '93 when he was involved with Kimberly Porter romantically. That relationship lasted from 1994 to 2007. Combs was close not only to Porter, but also to her son, as he adopted Quincy, who was Kimberly Porter's son from her previous relationship with AIB. Sure, who was nothing short of a rival for Combs. Diddy also took legal responsibility for a daughter born to Sarah Chapman in 2007, whom he was dating at the time, before getting into a long-term relationship with Cassie Ventura from 2007 to 2018. Sean is apparently a very caring father and spares no expenses when it comes to their happiness. He gifted one of his sons a couple of cars on his 16th birthday, and as a present for his oldest son's 16th birthday, Combs gave him a $360,000 Maybach car. When asked about what he wants for his children, he said,
Peace, happiness, love, I want it all for my kids.
Who's your biggest
Money.
Much more recently, though, Diddy had his 7th child, a daughter born in October 2022. Criminal history, come and stout. Sean has led quite a controversial life. Even though he's had a relatively high-profile career in music and the entertainment industry, he's been in constant entanglement with the legal authorities. On April 15, 1999, when the music video for Nas's Hate Me Now was released, which showed him being crucified, Combs flipped out. As a result, he, along with 2 other associates, burst into Nas's former manager's office, Stout, and upon setting eyes on him, he attacked the manager. Later, Steve sued him in June 1999, resulting in Sean paying an out-of-court settlement of $500,000. Diddy was charged with assault, and he pled guilty on September 8, 1999. As his punishment, he was sentenced to spend just a day in an anger management class. He may have gotten away lightly with the sentence, but it led to even more outrage, with people slamming the authorities and Diddy for not taking the law seriously. Weapons violation. The second legal issue that the rapper faced was in late 1999. During that time, he was in a well-documented relationship with Jennifer Lopez. The couple were at the New York club in Times Square in Manhattan when suddenly gunfire was heard. According to various sources, the gunfire was actually a result of an argument between Diddy and other patrons. After a thorough police investigation, Diddy, as well as Shine, were arrested for weapons violation. But that's not the only time the infamous rapper was arrested for weapons charges, as he's been caught on 4 separate locations, charged with bribing his driver, whose name is Wardell Fenderson, so that he could claim ownership of his gun. As a result, the ordeal escalated quickly, and the legal authorities placed a gag order. This time, Sean wasn't going to get away easily, and when the highly publicized trial began, Combs had to hire expensive attorneys for his case. Benjamin Brathman and Johnny L. Cochran Jr. led his case, making sure that Diddy was found not guilty on all charges. On the other hand, Shine was convicted of 5 and sentenced to a lengthy period in prison. After this entire ordeal, J-Lo broke up with Diddy, and his driver, Wardell Fenderson, filed a lawsuit saying that he'd suffered emotional damage after the shooting. Many suspect that another out-of-court settlement put a lid on this dispute. Besides that, a lot has been kept under wraps because lawyers from both sides have ruled that all settlement terms are secret by simply saying that the issue has been resolved to the satisfaction of all parties. Violation of labor laws. Sean is also known for not respecting law enforcement agencies, and in 2001, he was charged with driving illegally after his license was suspended in Florida. That's not all about his criminal history, though. In 2003, the National Labor Committee investigated Combs' clothing brand and found out that his clothing brand in Honduras was violating Honduran labor laws. This was a severe problem for Diddy because the accusations were fierce, and he was blamed for the workers working in his factory being subjected to body searches to which they didn't consent. There were also claims of involuntary pregnancy tests being conducted in his factory so that mothers wouldn't get paid maternity leaves. Besides these accusations, there was another allegation that the bathrooms were locked and access to different parts of the factory was tightly controlled. Other than that, the National Labor Committee also found out that the employees working in his factory were forced to work overtime. The worst part was that they weren't even paid extra for those extra hours they worked. A member of the National Labor Committee, Charles Kernigan, told the New York Times, "Sean Puff Daddy obviously has a lot of clout. He can do a lot overnight to help these workers." Diddy responded that he'd conduct a thorough investigation into the matter. Eventually, in 2004, Charles announced that all necessary improvements had been installed in his factory, including proper air conditioning, firing abusive supervisors, and even allowing the formation of a labor union within his factory. Murder accusations of Tupac. This is perhaps the most considerable controversy that Diddy's been a part of. When Tupac died, there was a lot of speculation that Sean had Tupac. However, he responded by saying,
It was hurtful, extremely hurtful. There were so many rumors.
Moreover, 50 Cent said that Puff Daddy put the hit out for Tupac by giving Crips gang member Keef $1 million. This was something that even Eminem said in his Killshot track. To be exact, he said, "But Kells, the day you put out a hits, the day Diddy admits that he put the hit out that got packed." Sometime before the rivalry between Tupac and Puffy began, Tupac was called to a party at Quad Studios. However, that party had a significant incident where Tupac was robbed along with his friends and injured as well because the robbers opened fire at him. He blamed Diddy for this ordeal and said his whole group of friends had turned against him. Puffy claims he didn't have any intentions of harming Tupac, and every time he's asked whether he did or didn't, he gives the same reply more or less. Diddy was asked about it in a podcast where he replied,
"We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we not even gonna even go there, with all due respect."
But even though the rapper says he wasn't the one who messed up Tupac, he was definitely responsible for escalating things. Diddy released a song called Who Shot Ya at such an insensitive time as a way to respond to Tupac's accusations on Bad Boy Records for his attempted murder in New York. This action was considered a dark move by many, among them Napoleon, who stated that Diddy didn't care about people's lives as long as he got rich. Tupac Shakur was pissed at Diddy throwing him off again and again while at the same time saying that he was a sucker. This led to Tupac releasing an iconic diss at Diddy called Ambitions as a Rida. It was from here that things spiraled out of control, and one thing led to another. And before anyone knew it, Tupac was mysteriously murdered by an unknown figure from the shadows. While people may speculate that it was Diddy who put the hit out, no one can say for sure what happened. To this day, Tupac's murder remains a mystery. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content.